You say you want love, but pause for a moment and ask yourself honestly, is it truly love that you're seeking, or is it the feeling of being chosen? Because there is a difference, a deep, brutal, soul-level difference. Love, real love, is a commitment, a decision to see and care for another human being, even when it's inconvenient. But being chosen is about being seen, desired, validated. It's about someone else making you feel worthy of existing. And if you're really honest with yourself, how many times has the desire for love actually just been the desire to finally feel enough in someone else's eyes? We're taught to believe that we're chasing intimacy, but more often we're chasing relief from that ache inside, that haunting question, am I lovable as I am? What most people call love is actually a silent scream, please someone, tell me I matter. Erich Fromm said it without flinching. Most people do not seek to love, they seek to be loved. Why? Because being loved feels easier. It doesn't demand vulnerability. It doesn't require discipline or sacrifice. It simply asks that you look appealing enough to be picked. But here's the tragedy. You can be chosen by someone else 1,000 times and still not choose yourself once. You can be admired, pursued, even adored, and still feel empty. Because what you're really starving for isn't love. It's proof that you deserve it. And that's not love. That's dependency wearing perfume. Until you confront this illusion, the illusion that being desired will heal your soul, you will keep confusing validation for love and wonder why it always ends in silence, heartbreak, or disconnection. This is not the end, it's the beginning. The moment we stop lying to ourselves about what we're chasing is the moment we start walking toward something real. It's not connection you're after, it's confirmation that you're worth loving, that you're enough, that someone, somewhere, sees the thing inside you that even you struggle to accept. This is the silent truth behind so many romantic stories. We don't fall in love with the person. We fall in love with the way they make us feel about ourselves. You say you want to be loved, but what you really want is someone who looks at you and makes that aching question go quiet. Am I lovable, or am I just pretending to be? This is not love, it's validation, and it's as addictive as it is fleeting. Because here's the truth no one likes to admit. If you do not already believe you are enough, then no amount of someone else's love will ever convince you otherwise. It might feel like love when they text back, when they hold you, when they call you beautiful in the dim light, and for a moment the storm inside stills. But it always comes back, doesn't it? The hunger, the doubt, the silence after they stop replying. Because you were never looking for them, you were looking for a mirror, a reflection that says, you are worthy. And the tragedy, even when someone does love you, you'll doubt it. Because deep down, you're not convinced you deserve it. So you sabotage it, or cling too tight, or push it away. This is how we confuse being seen with being safe, being desired with being whole. But no gaze, no touch, no kiss can fill a hole that was carved in you long before they ever arrived. Until you face this, until you stop asking someone else to prove what you won't claim for yourself, you will keep calling validation love and wonder why it disappears the moment you reach for it. If this content is making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. This hunger didn't begin with your last relationship, or the one before that. It began in the silence of your childhood, in the moments when you needed to be seen and weren't. Before you ever learned to fall in love, you learned to survive love. You learned that affection must be earned, that to be noticed, you had to be good, useful, quiet, impressive. You learned that love comes with conditions, and if you fail to meet them, it vanishes. So now, as an adult, You chase love like oxygen, not because you're needy, but because somewhere in your past, love became a scarcity. You see, love is not just an emotion, it's a language. And if no one ever taught you how to speak it, if no one ever told you, without words, you are lovable just as you are, then the world becomes a desperate search for someone who finally will. Erich Fromm wrote, "The experience of separation provokes anxiety. It is by far the most intense source of anguish in man. And no separation cuts deeper than the one between a child and the feeling of safety. When the emotional umbilical cord is frayed or never fully formed, you grow up feeling like love is outside of you, and your entire life becomes a mission to go find it. But what you're really looking for is not a person. It's a parent. It's not romance. It's reassurance. And so, with every partner, you replay the same silent plea. Will you love me in the way I was never loved when it mattered most? This is the wound, the one you've learned to hide behind performance, independence, perfection. But no matter how well you hide it, it still drives everything, until you turn around and face it. Because what you call love today might just be a wounded child reaching out from the past, begging to be held. You don't want connection, you want escape. That's the truth behind most desperate love, not to find someone, but to flee yourself, to run from the silence inside, from the ache, the anxiety, the feeling of not being enough, not being real unless someone else confirms it. And when that person appears, the one who sees you, texts back, holds you close, it feels like a drug, not because it's love, but because for a moment, the voice inside your head goes quiet. That voice that says, you're alone, you're not enough, you're unlovable unless someone else decides otherwise. Erich Fromm called this the neurotic need for fusion, the craving not for intimacy, but for merging, a need to dissolve the painful sense of being separate, to disappear into someone else, to feel complete, not whole, but blended. And it feels like love. It burns like passion. But it's not connection, it's collapse. You think you're falling for them, but you're really falling away from yourself. This is immature love, the kind that says, I love you because I need you. Not, I need you because I love you. It's not desire, it's dependency. It's not devotion, it's addiction. And it always ends the same way. A high that fades, a crash that hurts, an emptiness that returns, because no one, not even the most loving, present, generous soul, can hold the weight of your unhealed past. That's not their job, and it's not love's job either. Until you face the parts of you that ache for escape, you will keep mistaking emotional fusion for real intimacy, and you'll keep bleeding through relationships that were never built to hold your wounds. This isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility to stop calling it love. You were sold a lie, and it was wrapped in music, stitched into movies, whispered through love songs, and echoed in every fairy tale you ever heard. The lie was this, that love will save you, that someone is out there who will complete you, rescue you, validate you, and finally make you feel whole. But that isn't love. That's emotional dependency, disguised as poetry. We live in a culture that doesn't teach us how to love. It teaches us how to consume love. It tells you that the goal is to be wanted, to be chased, to be chosen, not to grow with someone, not to build, not to give, just to be admired. It's not love you've been conditioned to crave. It's a performance. It's attention. It's the high of being seen, without the burden of being known. And we wonder why relationships collapse, why we fall hard, fast, and burn out even faster. It's because we're not entering relationships to share ourselves. We're entering them hoping someone will save us from the parts of ourselves we don't want to face alone. Erich Fromm saw it clearly decades ago. People believe the difficult part is finding the right person to love, not learning how to love. So we keep searching, swiping, dreaming, not for someone real, but for someone ideal, someone to reflect our fantasy back to us. And the second they fail to play the role, we withdraw, detach, blame them for not living up to the script. Love today isn't love. It's marketing, it's curated desire, it's a hunger created by culture and sold back to us as destiny. And the cost of buying into this fantasy? You never get to experience what love actually is. You trade growth for intensity, intimacy for idealization, and in the end, you're left not with a partner, but with disappointment that they weren't magic enough to fix you. Real love doesn't look like a movie. It looks like two imperfect people choosing to stay, not because they need each other, but because they see each other. Let's be honest, most people don't give love. They trade it. Not because they're selfish, but because somewhere deep inside they believe that being loved is something you must earn. So they make silent deals, invisible contracts. If you desire me, I'll be everything you need. If you don't leave, I'll mold myself to keep you here. If you validate me, I'll give you all the pieces of me I've never shared with anyone else. But this isn't intimacy. It's a bargain made from fear. And like all bargains, it comes with a price. When your self-worth depends on being chosen, every romantic gesture becomes currency. Every compliment, every touch, every reply is a receipt that says, I matter. And when that currency stops flowing, you panic, you ache, you crumble, because it was never just about love, it was about survival. Erich Fromm warned us about this emotional economy. When love becomes a trade, it is no longer love. It's a negotiation for identity made in the currency of insecurity. You offer your time, your body, your soul, not from fullness, but from hunger. And you call it sacrifice, you call it passion, but underneath you're saying, please, just make me feel like I'm enough. This kind of love burns bright, but it never lasts, because no one can play the role of your emotional savior forever, and eventually they'll fail to pay what you've silently demanded. Then the same story repeats: resentment, collapse, emptiness, until you realize love that's given just to receive something in return is not love. It's a transaction disguised as affection, and the cost is always your peace. Real love is not a deal. It's not something you earn or prove. It's something you become capable of giving when you no longer fear being alone with yourself. Have you ever wondered why you fall apart so quickly? Why one ignored message can ruin your whole day? Why a simple goodbye feels like abandonment, not closure? It's not drama. It's not neediness. It's a child inside you, still begging to be loved. Not loved as a partner, loved as a person. As someone who should have been held, reassured, protected, but wasn't. Before you knew how to talk, you knew how to feel. And every time your tears were ignored, every time your joy went unnoticed, every time you were made to believe that love had to be earned, a wound was carved into you. You grew up, but the wound didn't. It just learned how to wear masks. Now you call it independence, perfectionism, control. You tell yourself you're strong, focused, fine. But underneath, the voice of that child still whispers, please, don't leave me. Please, tell me I matter. Erich Fromm didn't use the words inner child, but everything he wrote in The Art of Loving pointed right to it. In the childish form of love, I love because I am loved. In the mature form, I am loved because I love. That childish love still lives inside you. The belief that you must be perfect to be kept. That if you please others enough, they'll stay. That if you give more, sacrifice more, silence your needs, become what they want, then maybe, just maybe, you'll finally be worthy. But no matter how much you give, how small you shrink, how desperately you try, it's never enough to heal the wound that was never yours to carry. You're not broken, you're repeating. You're reliving a story that started long ago, one where love was never safe. And so now, you chase people not to connect, but to correct what once went wrong. But the past cannot be rewritten through another person. It can only be healed when you turn inward and finally hear the voice of that child, not with shame, but with compassion. That's where healing begins, not by being loved, but by becoming the one who finally says, "I see you. I will never leave you again." There comes a moment, quiet, painful, necessary, when you realize no one is coming to save you. And strangely, that's where your freedom begins. Because as long as you keep waiting for someone to complete you, to fill that silence inside, to finally love you in the way you were never loved before, you remain a prisoner of your past, a prisoner of your pain, a prisoner of the fantasy that love will fix what you won't face. But love was never meant to be a cure. It was meant to be a gift you give only when you no longer need it to survive. Erich Fromm called this emotional maturity, the shift from consuming love to practicing it. Love is an activity, not a passive effect. It is a standing in, not a falling for. This is the turning point, when you stop chasing love like a lifeline and start cultivating it like a craft. Because love, real love, is not a feeling that happens to you. It is a decision, a discipline, a daily act of presence, responsibility, and offering. It's easy to say, "I love you," when your heart is full. But mature love still shows up when it's inconvenient, when it's hard, when it would be easier to run. That kind of love only comes from someone who's made peace with their own emptiness, someone who no longer uses others as mirrors or medicine. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing love to save you, you become someone who can truly give it, not because you're perfect, but because you're present, with yourself, with your wounds, with your truth. Emotional maturity isn't about not needing anyone. It's about not collapsing when someone walks away. Because now, your worth isn't rented from their affection. It's rooted in your own care for yourself. This is not the end of love. It's the beginning of real love. There are two kinds of love. One comes from emptiness, the other from overflow. And the difference is everything. Love from emptiness says, "Please hold me together. I don't know how to exist on my own." Love from overflow says, "I am whole, and I want to share that wholeness with you." Most people have only tasted the first kind, the kind that feels like a rescue, a rush, a momentary silence of the storm inside. But that kind of love always comes with a cost, because it was never meant to carry your identity. You can't love deeply when you're still bleeding. You can't give freely when your love is tied to whether they stay or leave. Erich Fromm made it painfully clear. You cannot offer what you have not built within yourself. If you have not built peace, you will offer chaos. If you have not built self-worth, you will offer insecurity. If you have not built solitude, you will offer desperation disguised as devotion. Love is not something you find. It's something you become. And when you become it, you stop chasing it like a fix. Because now, love is not a way to fill your soul. It's a way to pour it out. It doesn't say, "I need you to complete me." It says, "I choose you to walk beside me." This kind of love doesn't beg. It doesn't demand. It doesn't dissolve when someone fails to meet your unspoken needs. It adds. It expands. It builds. Because it's no longer about healing your wound, it's about expressing your fullness. And here's the beauty. When you love from overflow, you're no longer afraid of being alone. Because you know, truly know, that your value is no longer held hostage by someone else's gaze. You don't need someone to make you whole. You are already enough. And when you reach that place, you stop asking, "Do you love me?" And you start asking, "How can I love better?" You've spent years waiting to be chosen, waiting for the text, the look, the hand that says, "You are enough now." But what if you stopped waiting? What if today you chose yourself? Not as an act of ego, but as an act of liberation. Because here's the truth no one ever taught you. You do not need to be chosen to feel whole. You were whole before they saw you. You were worthy before they touched you. You mattered, even when they didn't show up. All this time, love was never missing. It was buried, under pain, under stories, under silence. And now, you're ready to unearth it. Erich Fromm wrote that love is not something that happens to us. It is something we practice. Anyone who intends to learn the art of loving must start in the same way one learns any other art, through discipline, concentration, and patience. So the real question is no longer, will someone love me? The real question is, am I willing to love even when it's hard? Am I willing to stand with myself even when I feel unlovable? Because the moment you stop begging for affection and start offering it from a place of strength, everything changes. You stop chasing highs. You stop shrinking for love that barely holds you. You stop mistaking attention for safety, and you begin to build love that expands, love that listens, love that doesn't crumble when life gets hard. Because now, it's grounded in someone who has chosen themselves first. That someone is you. So write it, say it, declare it like a vow. I do not need to be chosen to feel whole. Let it echo through the spaces where insecurity once lived. Let it become your new foundation. Because from this place, from this choice, you don't love to be saved. You love because you are free.